Hi, Jason.
Hey, Ghislain, how are you?
Good, and you?
Good, good. All right, looks like the tech is working, thankfully.
Hi guys, how are you?
Hi, Robert.
Yeah.
Hey, Allan.
I must admit I was a bit stressed at the beginning because I couldn't see the breakout session, so I thought I had a problem on my computer.
Yeah. Yeah, you're muted, Alan.
Sorry, I had multiple muting systems going on, so I couldn't figure out which one I'd test.
Yeah. Hey, how you doing? Where are you based, Alan? Are you
I'm based in Toronto.
in Toronto?
Yes.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. I hope you guys
Hi.
are doing well. Guys, I'm hearing a bit of echo. I think it's because someone is not wearing earphones. If you all can wear earphones, that will avoid the echo situation. So, Allan and Jason, any difficulties so far with the platform? Anything that I can help with? Hi, Eunice.
No.
Hey.
Yeah, hopefully it's not me. I actually don't have a setup with headphones right now, so I'll just mute unless I'm speaking.
Sure. No, it's not a lot. It's not something that's too bothersome, but just something that can help it out. So no worries at all. So Alejandro is just finishing, so he's gonna join this room soon as well. Eunice will kickstart the room with introduction, and then I think Eunice, is Alejandro coming or Farah coming in your room? Farah, right?
Yes, Farah is the one.
I believe
Okay,
it's
okay.
Farah. Yeah. You kind of
Yeah,
scared
yeah.
me there. I was worried I was in the wrong room.
No. My bad, my bad. Okay, so I was just gonna check. So if there is no difficulties, and then I'm just gonna jump on to another session to just check everything up. Eunice, just ping me up if anything, any technical difficulties. I'll just come back here.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. See you soon, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, bye.
Bye.
Hi, just testing my microphone. Everyone, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you.
We can wait for a couple of minutes just to wait for people to get in. We can start.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great. Thank
can.
you. All right. We're live. So welcome, everyone. And I'm just going to let Eunice say a few words before to start us off. And then we can all introduce yourselves. So go ahead, Eunice.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining the session. We are here to talk about the quantum computing and drug discovery. My name is Eunice, and basically my role here is to be your Montreal Newtech super connector for this session. So please let me know if I can do anything for you with the chat box or to help you to engage with the conversation and the participation in the session. But as you already know, Montreal Newtech's main objective is to foster new technological adoptions among its network, especially in exponential technologies like artificial intelligence, virtual reality, quantum computer, biotech, digital biology, among others. And I'll be more than happy to follow up on this group's interactions and connections from these working sessions. I can also serve you to help you navigate the resources from Montreal's innovations ecosystems and to work as your liaison to relevant actors within the network. So with no further ado, I am pleased to introduce you to Farah Bendahmane. She holds a BC in Biomedical Sciences and holds a Master's in Pharmaceutical Sciences, specialized in drug development and pharmacoeconomics. She has over 10 years of experience working in the Canadian innovation ecosystem, including more recently as a consultant for startups and nonprofit, and as a scientific advisor in pharmacoeconomics at the INSSS. Since 2020, she has been Director of Enterprise Development at Montreal Invivo, a nonprofit economic development agency. And this afternoon, we have the honor to have her as our moderator for this session. Farah, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Eunice, and it's really an honor for me to be here with all of you around the table, each of you experts in your respective fields. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to have Allan, Miranda from JLABS present a bit more about what their organization does, and also what kind of opportunities or potential they see of using quantum computing to, for example, accelerate drug discovery. I will also be introducing our other session partners, including Ghislain Lefebvre from the Institute Quantique at Sherbrooke, Jason Lynch from Equal One, Dominic Marchand from Qubit, and Robert Marino. So I'm going to start just really quickly. If you want to introduce yourselves, I'm going to let Allan say a few words, and then I will introduce each of you one by one. So yeah, and I'll also be taking questions from the audience if there's anything. So go ahead, Allan. So just a quick introduction. If you have more stuff to add, we can discuss it during your presentation. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, so good afternoon, everybody. My name is Allan Miranda. I'm the head of JLABS Canada. I've been with JLABS about 3 years, and I've been with Johnson & Johnson around 15 years. I have a background in biotech startup with originally a PhD in neuropharmacology, so I'm glad to be part of today's session. And thank you, Farah, for inviting me.
Of course. Thank you, Allan. So next, we're going to ask Ghislain to introduce himself. Bonjour, Ghislain.
Yeah, bonjour. Hi, everyone. Happy to be here with you today. I'm Ghislain Lefebvre. I'm at Partnership Development at Institut Quantique, and I'm going to talk into more details into what we do at Institut Quantique a little later. Myself, I've been a physics teacher. I've been an entrepreneur as well. And for a year, well, more than a year now, I've been working at Institut Quantique, developing a super project called the IBM-Q Hub at University of Sherbrooke. So more to come.
Great. Thank you so much, Ghislain. Then we have Jason. Hi, Jason, who's joining us from Ireland. Hi.
Yeah, great. Hi, everybody. My name is Jason Lynch. I'm COO of Equal One Labs. So we are a startup formed about 3 years ago. We're based in both Ireland and California. And I'm excited to be here and join the discussion. So thank you. You're on mute, Farah, I think.
one before. So hi, Dominic. So it's your turn. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm happy to be here. My name is Dominic Marchand. I'm from Qubit, which is a company who was founded in Vancouver, Canada. We are now pretty well all everywhere in Canada. We have an office also in Waterloo, Ontario, and one in Sherbrooke, Quebec. I'm coming from a physics background and computer engineering background, but my role in my most recent role right now, I'm integrating Qubit in the Sherbrooke and Quebec ecosystem, and we're connecting the rest of the company to all the interesting research and innovation that's happening here. So happy to be here and to chat with all of you.
Much, Dominic. And let's finish with Robert Marino, who is in Paris. Hi, Robert.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. I'm Robert. I'm the CEO of Qubit Pharmaceuticals, and we do drug discovery. We assist companies in drug discovery. We have our own programs, and we have hybrid structures, hybrid supercomputer, and quantum computers to perform calculation. So very happy to be here. And yes, I saw that people like the pictures, so yeah.
Yeah, great pictures. Allan, the floor is yours if you would like to present your slides that you have for J&J Innovations. There you go.
Sure.
So you have 5 minutes. I'll let you know around the 4-minute mark that you have 1 minute left.
Okay. Can everybody see my slides?
No, we can't see them.
Hold on 1 second. Okay, I assume you can see them now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so if you just give me 1 second, I'm just gonna flash up to the start. So I think today I really wanted to just give a brief introduction to JLABS. JLABS is the Johnson & Johnson's incubator facility. We have 13 facilities in the world, and really we're trying to help Johnson & Johnson discover innovation or find innovation in the ecosystem. You may know us as we're probably the world's oldest and probably the world's biggest healthcare company, 250 operating companies, 175 countries. We show up as some pretty familiar brands, Neutrogena, Tylenol. But what people don't know is we also have an emerging, we also have a vibrant medical device business, Dupuis Synthes, which does, a whole bunch of orthopedic surgery. We also have a vision care business, but importantly, I think for today's conversation, we have the #1 pharmaceutical company in the world in Janssen. So we have our focus areas in oncology, neuroscience, immunology, and infectious disease, as well as cardiovascular and metabolism. In all of those areas, we're employing artificial intelligence, machine learning. In all of those platforms, we have a large and emerging data science group, and we're exploiting those technologies across all of our therapeutic areas to try to find novel therapies for patients. My group is part of the External Innovation Organization, and we're looking for small companies such as yourselves, or I shouldn't say small to medium-sized companies, external companies basically who have innovation we can partner with and use that innovation to either enhance what's in our R&D portfolio or, get that technology into our R&D portfolio. I work for JLABS, where our remit is company incubation. We have 13 incubators around the world. Presently have about 690 companies, but our model really is to provide mentorship to those companies. We also have our Boston Innovation Center close to Montreal, but we have 4 innovation centers across the globe. Those really focus deal teams, as well as scientific experts who can really help small companies in a partnership sense, but also expose them to resources and other things which can help them grow their technology. We have an active venture group, Johnson & Johnson Ventures, also at JGDC. It's a strategic venture capital group at Johnson & Johnson. It's the oldest corporate venture group, and they invest strategically in companies in areas of strategic focus for us. And then for technologies which are closer to market, we have an active business development group which can find the right deal to help bring products that last mile and get them in the hands of patients. This is really our co-creation model. As I said, we support 3 sectors, medical device, consumer, and pharmaceutical. I think today's focus of conversation is really pharmaceutical. People come and say often, like, what are the types of deals that you do with companies. And really, it's what we need to do to get the technology to advance. So we don't have a prescriptive model. We work with entrepreneurs to figure out what's the right set of ingredients we need to deliver in order to help a technology grow and flourish. This just shows our global footprint and really a sense that innovation can come from anywhere. For today's application, I didn't have any particular slides, but I just wanted to give some thoughts to start. I think the first thing I'd say, and I said at the start, is we and all large pharma companies are invested or have invested in the last 5 years significantly in our own data resources, being that access to data, multi-omics platforms, which we can mine, as well as our ability to, develop the tools in-house or partner with others to mine those data assets. So, our tools, our internal capabilities in artificial intelligence, machine learning, neural networks, all of that has increased significantly over the last 3 to 5 years. And we've invested significantly both in external partnerships as well as building internal resources. So what does that mean in the quantum computing space? I think our teams are very interested in quantum computing, but at the present time, I don't think we've really found a use case or found a place where we ourselves have made any strong investments, but we're really scanning the ecosystem to see what's out there. And so what we've seen largely is applications in drug discovery, people looking at protein-protein interactions, people looking at chemistry and ways of scanning the chemical universe to identify compounds of interest. And that's really where we've seen our focus. And so for companies in those spaces, I think we're still looking for ways to partner with you. We're still looking for use cases. And so from today's conversation, I'd like to understand what companies are working on and post this to try to connect with all of you and also anybody who's watching to see if there's use cases or other partnerships that may be of interest to J&J. So I'm just going to stop there, Farah.
Thank you so much, Allan. That's great. So what I would propose next is for Ghislain, if you could present your slides and what you're doing at the Institut Quantique de Sherbrooke. I know that you're leaders in the field in Quebec, so we'd love to hear more about what you do.
Yeah, sure. Can you see my slide now?
Yes.
Great. So hi, everyone. I'm from Institut Quantique. We're located in Sherbrooke, as you've heard. Well, Institut Quantique is an institute, a research institute that is 5 years old now. We have more than 200 members, among which there's 150 students and more than 30 faculty members from different departments, of course, physics, but also from computer science and engineering and more. We always place the students at the center of research. This is the philosophy of the Institut Quantique. And well, there's many results to that. For example, some of our students eventually launch their own companies. They go into different organizations, either companies or government organizations. And some, of course, do pursue academic careers. So there's all types of people with us, and we are pretty happy to say that we have a new building coming up. If you ever come to Sherbrooke by next September, I will be happy to make you visit our new facilities with 2 tech platforms in it. There's going to be a QFab lab and also a quantum computing platform. And this is what I want to focus on today. Within this quantum computing platform, we have an IBM Q Hub. It's the first IBM Q Hub in Canada. It's the 14th in the world. And basically what a hub is that we want to, yes, access the biggest IBM Q systems. We have access to the 20, 27, and 65 qubit machines. But also what we want to do is to build this community of researchers that work with companies, either big or small companies. And we can also offer the access to our hub members. So the companies that want to become hub members, they can access the IBM Q systems as well. And of course, what we are looking for is to do some collaborative work. We want to do those collaborations with small and big companies. This is the idea here is to really develop the expertise, because we know that quantum computing is hard, and there won't be many experts around in 5 or 10 years from now, when quantum computers will be fully accessible and fully operational. So what we think is that we have to partner with businesses so that they develop the expertise within their companies. Because the companies that wait for too long, they will just be off track, and there won't be ways for fast becoming quantum aware in 10 years from now. So quantum programming, there's 3 main potential areas for applications. They're optimization, quantum modeling, and quantum machine learning. So of course, in the health science, probably the quantum modeling and new drug discoveries is probably the most interesting, but I'd say that quantum machine learning could be also of interest to some of you. If eventually you are interested in exploring all those possibilities, we could talk. This is a quick overview of many companies that have already been involved in quantum computing over the last years. Of course, this is not exhaustive. There's many more, but it gives you an idea of who is already involved. With all that said, again, quantum computing is hard. It is complex. We know that the hardware is not there yet, but if eventually you want to be in this adventure of quantum computing, you have to start now. And because we all know that beyond the technology, the biggest quantum advantage is talent. So I'll leave it at that, and let's pursue the discussion just a little later.
Thank you so much, Ghislain. So then if we could have Dominic, if you could put up your slides.
Let me share my screen now.
Great, thank you.
All right. I believe you should be able to see a big iceberg right now.
Yes, that's right.
So I won't be able to see you while I'm speaking, but so just please stop me if we're getting close to the 5 minutes limit. So 1Qubit, really fun, intractable. Really, what the company has been founded for is for pushing the limits, and a big part of what we're known for, our name is 1Qubit, is quantum computing, and that plays a big role in many of the sectors we're interested in and we're active in. But what I'd like to do is maybe start the discussion with how this fits with everything else, because quantum computing is not an independent activity at 1Qubit. It's something that's very tightly coupled with other things that are below the surface. So I'm calling this slide what we do, but you could see this also as how do we push the limits? How do we want to make an impact in healthcare and drug discovery? So everything I'll be saying will sound a little bit generic for now, or general, but I'll bring it back to a little bit more specific at the end. So on the surface, quantum computing, quantum software, this is tools that are going to be revolutionizing quantum simulation. So that's what we're most known for. But what we do at that level is really directly connected to other activities. So if you just look under the surface, I'm going to put those 3 here. Hardware innovation. So we're a software company first. We started in software, but that software was needed to be very cognizant of the hardware limitation, how the hardware works, and that expertise that was developed go hands in hand with I think somebody's microphone is still on, by the way. This expertise that we needed to develop software ended up developing also and was put to good use for helping to push the limits on the hardware as well. I also want to bring your attention to state-of-the-art classical algorithm, because that's something that will come back. We don't believe in doing quantum computing on its own. I think that it's just one pillar of computing, and to really push the limit, you need to be able to push the limit on all fronts at the same time. So that means we're really active. We have a team that works in AI. We have some people who work in optimization as well. And we have specialized hardware, which a big part of is going to be quantum computing, but it also touches on classical hardware acceleration. So if we go a little bit further, we also have a large team of software developers. Cloud-based solutions are important if you want to put your solution available for your client. And industry knowledge, I think, is also something that's been very important at Qubit since the beginning. We like to interact with the industry. We like to understand what real problems are. So, and that shows with the type of partners we have. So we've been in the quantum chemistry space, for example, we're partnering with Dow, a very large player in that space. We've worked in something that's a little closer to drug discovery and the healthcare world. We worked with Biogen in the past. Quite a few other things that you don't think of when you start from quantum computing, but we're active on all those fronts, and we really believe that quantum computing, yes, is super promising, but quantum computing requires this full set of skills. So advanced computing is a way of putting it. It's very general, but a large part of it, of course, the visible part is remains quantum computing, quantum simulation. This is a little bit the same message. Like, we're doing quite a few different things, but right now I'm stretching it on the time axis, where some of the things that we do are really forward-looking, like more related to improving hardware and quantum simulations, which is expected to be one of the early winners of quantum computing. But there's other things that are quite relevant now, right away. So improving methods. I'm going to bring your attention to problem decomposition, because it's something that we are heavily invested in, and that will enable quite a few interesting things now, both today and a little bit later down the line. So I think we want to be invested both in the short terms and developing solution that matters now, but also pushing the limits and getting ready, positioning yourself to be having an impact later. So Chemist Cloud is the one thing I'd like to outline a little bit as a tool that's really relevant in drug discovery, but in other spaces as
Dominic,
well.
You have 1 minute left. I don't know if you can see the chat when I wrote it, but yeah, just wanted.
No, I cannot see the chat while I'm seeing the slides. Thank you. So I'll rub this up. So Chemist Cloud, and I'm going to be posting a video that's from a recent event organized by Azure Quantum, where we really explain this idea of one platform where we put all of the things that are relevant now, distribution, like where we can distribute or simulation, thanks to problem decomposition methods on large clusters, but where you can also start experimenting with NIST device, and also later with Fault and quantum computing, which is going to be the big prize. So putting everything on one platform means that you can innovate now, and you can also prepare for tomorrow. I'm going to skip this. We are also active at other levels, or been active at other levels in the drug design process, but happy to come back to this if there's questions. So I'm going to end here, and I'm looking forward to the discussion.
Thank you so much, Dominic. And now we have Jason. Sorry, we have Robert. If you could put up your slides, please.
Sure. Can you see my slides?
We can see your slides, but your sound is a bit.
Let me try to do something else. Is it better now regarding sound?
Yeah, much better.
Okay, perfect. Actually, my headsets are a bit problematic. So Qubit Pharmaceuticals, we've been incorporated last year. We do drug discovery, so we have several programs internally that are already running. We're a team of 15 people strong, and we use a hybrid approach to develop drugs. We, as one Qubit, we don't believe that there will be near using quantum computers to do full drug discovery in the near, even mid to long term. So today we are trying to develop a hybrid infrastructure with HPC and quantum computers. We are not developers of quantum computers, but we partner with QC providers in order to find the best providers for each problems that we find. Few words about what we do. The core of our technology allows to do absolute free energy of binding calculation, which means that we can precisely predict how any compound will fit and will bind to any protein, and we have either a structure-based approach or a fragment-based approach. The other value proposition is that we have is thanks to the force fields that we have in our software, that are embedded in our software, we can work with targets that are very hard to tackle with other kinds of software, such as metalloenzymes, proteases, or GPCR, for instance. So that's for the classical part. Now moving to quantum. As I mentioned, we don't believe that we'd be able to do anything, full calculation on quantum computers in the next 5 to 10 years. So what we try to do internally, as we are a user of computing power, was to identify in our workflow what we could port on quantum computers by having a hybrid approach. So trying to understand what kind of calculations NISQ computers or even fault-tolerant at the later stage quantum computers could bring, and where they could bring value for either increasing the speed or increasing the accuracy of the calculations. And in terms of business value, what it would bring to us. So there is one problem that many companies know, is it's doing conformational sampling. It's very costly. Most of the people do it on GPUs or CPUs, of some have developed their own FPGAs, but it requires a lot of calculation, especially the larger the protein, the bigger the sampling, and therefore it's often suboptimal, and it calls for large HPC infrastructures. So what we are trying to do as a first application of using quantum computers today is have a hybrid approach, or use quantum computers to help us on sampling, so that we can have the best confirmation of proteins in order to start the simulation and the absolute binding free energy. So always the point is to have a higher resolution and better accuracy of our calculations. Why do we want to do so? Because we are developing a database of high resolution proteins that will be the starting point of our own drug discovery programs, or programs that we can do in partnerships with either biotech or pharma companies. And in order to have our database of a lot of proteins that we want to do, so I've mentioned 500 targets, but in fact we are even going to try to reach even more. We need this extra computing power in the coming years. So that's why we started officially to have a first partnership with a French QC company. It's called Pascal. But of course, we are discussing with other companies, and would be very happy to have any discussion with other QC companies or even pharma companies to see how we could share what we know, what we have understood on how to use quantum computers for drug discovery, and also give access to this valuable data and information to partner in order to develop new drugs.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Robert. And let's finish with Jason.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Farah. Hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you great.
Okay, excellent. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Great. So my name is Jason Lynch. I'm COO of Equal One. So we're a quantum hardware company. We're specifically focused on AI applications. So our technology is very appropriate for neural networks and machine learning, and I'll explain why. So we've taken a radically different approach to the other quantum technologies that are out there, in the sense that we have a vision to democratize computing, democratize it in terms of price and in terms of form factor. So if you look today at the and the other technologies, both from what's available in quantum computing, but also in large AI training, they're obviously very powerful machines, but they have a number of other characteristics, I guess, that they share in common. They're very expensive. They're extremely large and extremely difficult to get access to sometimes. And also the energy consumption and the carbon footprint, particularly from an AI perspective, is on an unsustainable trajectory. This data here is from MIT Technology Review, and it shows one of the most powerful AI models, the GPT-3 training, took the equivalent of 5 cars, the energy consumption of 5 cars over its lifetime. So if we look at AI and the trajectory that it's on, it's not sustainable. We think quantum computing can change that, put it on a different trajectory, and in particular, our approach to quantum computing. So let me talk a little bit about what our approach is. So we've taken the approach of looking at a commercial silicon process and leverage the 50 to 60 years of investment, hundreds of billions of investment in silicon, to wait for quantum readiness in a commercial silicon process to form our qubits. So our team, our co-founders, are industry veterans in the semiconductor industry. We've all worked in large companies that have done large integrated circuits in the past. And our co-founders looked, 15 years ago, looked to see if they could start a quantum development. And at that stage, it just wasn't ready. But 3 years ago, a process from Global Foundries actually became available, which we felt meant that it was quantum ready. So what we've done is we've developed a quantum processing unit. You can see it here. It's the first of its kind to have both the qubits and all of the supporting electronics and readout electronics on the same chip. This is a 3 by 3 millimeter square chip. We have it operating at 3 Kelvin. And you can see here the quantum dot arrays that form the basis of our neural network structures. We've taken the quantum processing unit and we've our first quantum machine. We call it Alice. It has the cryocooler to maintain the temperature of 3 Kelvin. It has all of the control and mechanics to interface with the chip and get us back to room temperature. So we have 2 of these built, one in Ireland, in our offices in Ireland, and one in California. They've both been running for over 12 months. But as I mentioned, our vision is a workstation-sized product that can have a large number of qubits and do something useful, maybe even sooner than the 5 to 10 years that Robert was referring to. We've been able to show with that demonstrator some early, very early application use cases in AI, and specifically around speeding up the learning, right? So we believe quantum, the probabilistic nature of quantum is very well suited to these inner layers in neural networks. We've done some work on, last year on satellite imaging and COVID chest x-rays. We're certainly not domain experts in the area of drug discovery, but we're a multidisciplinary team of physicists, silicon designers, machine learning software people, and we believe we've developed a tool that, with partnership and collaboration, that we can make an impact in these applications maybe sooner than people think. So with that, I'll leave it there, and thank you.
Jason, and so perhaps I'd like to open the floor to some general questions, and also to actually hear Allan's reaction as well to some of what you guys have presented. Also, we'll be taking a few questions from the audience in the next few minutes. But first, maybe Allan, I'd love to hear your thoughts about, is there anything in what you heard that has struck you as having a particular potential for... Sorry, my alarm is super loud. But yeah, do you have... Yeah, you're on mute actually, Allan.
Question is for Jason first, and I probably would ask the same of Robert, but you talked about use cases and working with partners. What do those partners need to bring to the table? I saw you had a use case in imaging. Ideally, and you said you're not domain experts, so what do the domain experts need to bring in order to facilitate a meaningful conversation or collaboration?
I mean, I would say maybe 2 things. And I think in general, when you get into a discussion on machine learning, one of the biggest things is data, right? So, I mean, data is one big thing that I think partners can bring, and also domain expertise. So
might have cut out for a little bit. We'll wait for it to...
Yeah, maybe it's Jason. Maybe as Jason comes back on, Robert, maybe you could, same question to you, like you had some partnerships you'd identified. What makes a good partnership from your perspective? What does the partner need to bring?
So we have 2 kinds of partnership. The first one is with quantum computing companies, with whom we work in order to develop a common infrastructure for our own calculation. So there is a lot of work that we do with them by understanding clearly what's in the hardware. So most of the calculation today are done on HPC, are done on GPUs. that are some specific in terms of frequencies of calculation and so on. And quantum computers are very different. So we need to understand how we can match these two different infrastructure and how it can fit into our workflow, or how we have to modify the workflow. So it takes quite some scientific discussion and in-depth discussion. Then there are the partners regarding the application side, so pharma companies, biotech companies, or even we also work with public research centers that have access to new targets. And then the point is to see if whether or not, when we have this hybrid approach, it will bring something on the table. So do we really need to, can we do it with HPC, or do we need to try to find a relay with quantum computing infrastructure to improve the calculation? And what we can also do is share with them what we've learned from working on QC infrastructures.
And Dominic, a question for you in terms, and maybe for both of you, in terms of business model or how you would envisage working with a pharma company. Any thoughts on the business model, or how you would engage with a pharma company to drive, revenue and growth for your company? What would those relationships look like?
Great question. So one way, so we're fairly flexible when it comes to organizing something that works for both partners. But one recipe that seemed to work really well is we're deeply invested in developing methods, and that's something that we usually focus on, like something that are closely related to quantum. But we're not invented, like Qubit is not developing new drugs. So obviously, any new finding that comes on this part would be on the pharma side. So there's a fairly clear distinction of where the IP goes. There's also usually some area where we overlap quite a bit, and where it's joint IP and co-development. So I would say that the recipe that worked best for us so far is the ones where we work closely together on a project. One thing that we often that we focus on is developing methods that are related to quantum computing or to other technologies. Whereas our partners so far in the past, so Dow would be a good example. That's not in pharma, but that would be a good blueprint. It's a partner that we worked with for over multiple years, where they brought the knowledge, the knowledge for the specific field. They're interested in developing new catalysts, for example. We don't care about developing new catalysts. We care about simulating those and developing the methods that will give more accurate answers.
Okay, gotcha. Jason, sorry, you cut out, so we didn't have a chance to get your answer. So if you have you've had some time.
Yeah, apologies about that. So I think two things. I mean, one is data sets, right? So data sets, when it comes to these problems, are extremely important. Knowledge to actually understand what that data set is and what the output is, the output required. So that's sort of our approach. We bring the tool to do the analysis, but work closely with partners who bring the data set and the domain.
And maybe I'll ask all three of you a question. One of the things, even as it pertains to AI, one of the challenges that we have is all drug companies hate a black box. So the algorithm's a black box, and it's not understandable. So on the quantum side, where I think that problem is even greater, how do you try to manage that with partners, the black box element, and make it knowable to them while also trying to protect your own IP? Dominic, maybe I'll start with you.
So assuming a collaboration that's really close, I think that what is important is constant knowledge transfer. So it's really good to have a team that can speak the same language and that work together for a longer period of time. So you develop, even if there's somewhat different expertise brought to the table, you develop a share language. And I think that's enough. That's a good vehicle for being able to communicate a lot of it. So far, we've been spending quite a bit of our time teaching about quantum computing, even if it's not even if it's in the setting of working together toward a project. And in the meantime, we're also learning quite a bit about the problem we're trying to solve. So it's both with the bidirectional exchange of information has been working well. I think that if you do this and you maintain it throughout the research project, it doesn't become a black box. I think we're very much opposed to this idea that quantum computing or quantum mechanics is so weird that you can't understand it. I think those things were very early on and promoted by big physicists' name, but we believe you can understand to some some level, and exchanging. Keeping the dialogue open means that you can get answers, even if it's not all the answers sometimes you'd like to get.
And I guess, Robert, maybe same question to you. Any thoughts to add to that, or?
No, I agree with what Dominic said. Actually, I mean, the point is try to understand what the point is explainability, because in the end we're developing drugs, and what we need to know is clearly how compounds interact, how molecules behave, and so on. So there is a huge investment, of course, in order to understand what comes out of this calculation. But it's feasible. Of course, to go back to what Ghislain said at the beginning, I think the most critical part is getting the right people. The conclusion of his talk. So hiring the proper people to get a strong and relevant team that can understand, because it's a multidisciplinary approach that goes from quantum physics to drug discovery. You need to understand hardware also. You need to go into software development. So a lot of different profiles, but it's feasible. And clearly what we see is that one of the major problems it's not a problem, one of the issues that we have to discuss every time we partner with QC companies is of course, what are we going to do if we find something together in terms of new algorithm that will increase reading accuracy and so on. But in the end, it's also a problem that we can solve because you can see different applications. So maybe they will be willing to use the algorithm for something else than biotech or pharma, or we can see models that allows the spread of this software for the benefit of everyone.
So maybe, Farah, I'm just going to ask one last question of all three companies. It's an early stage technology. Probably it's a little bit beyond early stage. What are some of the validation or proof of concept things that need to happen in order for your companies to actually grow in value in the eyes of the acquirers or the capital markets? Like in your minds, what are some of the things that you say in the next 6, 12, or 18 months you need to demonstrate to, get that validation or try to build value in the company? So maybe Jason, I'll start with you first.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I think our approach is to be very customer facing and to work with a number of partners on these applications and sort of develop a roadmap with them, right? So we have our next quantum processor unit would be planned later this year, and we're taking input on the architecture for all of those with our partners, and we would have a milestone demonstration here in the next 12 to 18 months in these applications where we can show some early progress. So really trying to be led by partnerships, I guess.
Okay, Dominic?
I think there's more than one answer to this from my point of view. So because the way we're organizing what we do is spread the short term to the long term. The short term, you prove that it works by the fact that it works and you get results. So that builds some confidence for what you're developing that will be in theory for tomorrow. So for the slightly longer, and I think your question is more aimed at the medium to longer term technology like quantum computing. In this case, there's two things that we do. So first, there's proof of concept, of course. So you try to demonstrate on smaller molecules right now on classical hardware, for example. The other thing is that you try as much as possible to interface with academia. So there is like a lot of checks and balances by interfacing and by publishing results that the committee provides you this platform for showing or for demonstrating that your ideas and the algorithm you're developing make sense.
If I could just quickly jump off of Dominic's point, I think I would like to ask a question to Ghislain as well as to the role of precisely how people who work in companies that are interested in using more solutions based on quantum computing. What role, for example, can the Institut Quantique play? And before I let you answer the question, I simply have to apologize because I do have a hard stop right now. However, Eunice will be available to continue the discussion with you also share with you some questions of the audience. If you also have a hard stop, by all means, feel free. I have to go for the startup pitch competition to accompany our finalists towards the next step. But so, Ghislain, the floor is yours. Thank you so much, everybody, for taking the time. Really, really appreciate it to have all of you around the table. And I hope to see you soon.
Thanks, Farah.
Yeah, thanks. Well, on our side, as I said, our main goal is to help companies to develop their expertise. I mean, of course, people at J&J or JLABS can go to businesses that already work in the field. That's one way to do. But developing the expertise in-house will be of paramount importance for the future. And this is where Institut Quantique comes in. If eventually at JLABS you are interested in looking at how we could work together, how we can do collaborative projects that would interest some of our researchers and of course your team, and to develop the quantum computing side, then this is when we come into play.
Thank you, Ghislain. We have 5 minutes to get questions from the audience. If you would like to ask anything to the panelists, feel free to turn on your camera. If you want to, well, if not, I would like to thank you all for your incredible contributions to this discussion. I found the sessions so exciting and productive. I know that there has been so much that we still want to keep talking about, but I am really excited about the possibilities discussed in this room. And for sure, we have a lot of things to work on to advance quantum computing and the application in drug discovery. Okay, we have a question from Matthew. How do I turn the camera on? Okay. I don't think you'll be sorry. I apologize. But if you don't mind, you can text the question on the chat box, and I am more than happy to be your voice.
Oh, in the meantime, I just wanted to add something to the previous discussion, just while Matthew types his question. I think that the fact that we're at a time right now where multiple devices are coming online and where we can start to test those algorithms means it's not all up in the air. I think so we can test algorithms, we can try on smaller molecules. The real question, or the follow-up question, is, can we trust the extrapolation we can make from NISQ device? Of course, that's a very interesting area of research, and the more we'll progress and we'll have bigger devices, we'll get the better data. But right now, it's a little bit beyond the NISQ era to see where we'll end up. A lot of people are trying to predict this, but I think those predictions all have fairly large error bars. So it's going to remain a domain of intense research interest to see if what we're seeing on the NISQ era can still carry out on the next phase. But if you keep developing your methods and you keep testing it, I think it's a loop. So it's all research, and it's very exciting. I think we have the question now, so I'm going to turn my camera.
Eunice, you're on mute.
This is from Matthew Ellinger. He's like, firstly, thank you, but maybe a similar question as one posted above. What are some potential real-world applications of quantum hybrid computers within NISQ era, say within the next 5 to 10 years? Matthew, is this a question for all the panel, or do you want to address a particular person? If not, please, anyone in the panel who feels comfortable answering, take it.
Well, it's a tough question, right? I mean, as Dominic is saying, we're in a time here where we're moving from research into commercial applications, and I think that's the big question. And obviously, we're here panel discussion on drug discovery, so obviously that's one of the hopes. But I think to echo Dominic's point, the industry as a whole is working on scaling up what's there today and getting to a point where we can actually have real world impact. From our perspective, it's sort of the intractable problems today in AI would be the ones that we're hoping in the next 5 to 10 years that can be solved.
Yeah, I'd like to share I mean, it is our vision. You know, we hear a lot about quantum computers. They will solve this problem, this and this and this. And drug discovery is a low-hanging fruit. So soon drugs will be completely designed on quantum computers and so on. I think the way we see, at least the NISQ computing right now, is more about the impact that GPUs had at the very beginning of their development. So something that will accelerate part of what is done today on CPU, for what done at the past on CPUs, and for us is on GPUs. And the most important is to invest time and effort at trying to understand what can be brought to these NISQ platform, not in a way of doing 100% of calculation on it, but rather part of something that is done on an existing CPU or GPU platform. So there will be a lot of application, I hope that there will be a lot of them. Maybe not sexy application, as I saw. I mean, there is the famous example of penicillin. It will only require roughly 214 or 300 perfect qubit to modelize the penicillin. That's something that you pitch whenever you want to explain what is the very long-term application. But I think it would rather be some subsets of complex calculation that can be calculated with the NISQ platforms. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Robert, and thank you for taking the time. If we don't have any other questions from the audience, I will encourage you to attend to the pitch competition, which is happening right now. And thank you for your contributions. And we invited you to keep engaging with the activities of Montreal Newtech, and it's been a pleasure. Have a productive rest of the conference.
Thank you.
All of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Allan.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Thank you, guys.